everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amy and this is Dino Budgets, and you guys get to see my face today. So this is completely unusual for me. As you know, you usually see my hands cash stuffing and unstuffing, but today we're going to talk about a great question I had when it comes to my budgeting is, what do I use my credit card for? Like, what am I charging on it? And then I'm going to work into that as well. How can I use a credit card when I'm on a budget? So let's get into it today, guys. If you're missing T-Rex trying, I am sorry. He will be back in my next video for savings challenge stuffings and any of my other cash stuffings and savings challenges and unstuffings, any of that sort of stuff. So if you're missing that, check out the playlist I have for you. There will be plenty of T-Rex trying in those videos. And if you just can't get enough of it like me, I do have all 3 books linked in my description below. Also, I'm not an expert. I'm just on here doing this for fun, okay? So please always seek financial guidance on any other questions you have. I'm willing to give my opinion, but I am not an expert. So today, guys, let's start out with the main question, and that is, what do I charge on my credit card? I do use a credit card along with the cash envelope system for my budgeting. And so I put almost everything on my credit card. So yes, I do stuff envelopes with cash, and that is my way of physically seeing my budget. I am not a digital person. I spend more when I don't have the money right in front of me, seeing, okay, this is how much I have set aside for this. This is how much I have set aside for this. And so I do all my bills with an exception of 2. So the 2 bills that I do not do are my mortgage and my phone bill. And the reason being is because my mortgage does not allow me to do a credit card payment in order to pay my mortgage every month. And then secondly, my phone bill, the reason I don't do that one on a credit card is because through my phone company, I actually get a bigger discount by doing paperless billing and auto draft out of my checking compared to what my rewards money would be. My phone company gives me, I think, almost $30 off a month, which is a huge discount by having those 2 boxes checked and doing that. So those are the reason I choose not to do those 2. Now, there are a couple of bills that I have that I put on my credit card that, because I'm using a credit card and not auto drafting it or sending in a check, that they are charging me a processing fee. And which, when you look at that one specific bill, yes, that processing fee is probably slightly higher than the rewards amount I would end up getting for that charge. But when you look at it as a whole, so right now I am getting anywhere from $20 to $35 a month back in rewards cash. And I know, based on the 1 or 2 companies that charge me a processing fee, that I am being charged less than $5 between those processing fees. So I am still ahead anywhere from $15 to $30 as far as cash back. And so for me, it's worth it. Again, look at your numbers, just compare, because everybody's numbers are gonna be different. All of your bill companies are gonna be different. And if they charge you a fee or don't charge you a fee, that sort of thing. So you need to work it out to see if it's really worth it for you. But in my opinion, I say it is. When is it not worth it to use your credit card in budgeting? And the main 2 things I see when it comes to budgeting and using a credit card is if A, you're carrying a balance every month. That is not the goal here. Your goal is to be paying it off every month because you're using money that was already budgeted for those charges. If you are putting more on that credit card than what you budgeted for, you're going to start carrying a balance. You're going to start incurring interest, and then you're going to start paying more in that interest than what your rewards is. So it's not worth it if you're the type of person that carries a balance. It's also not worth it if you're spending more than you're budgeting. And if you that's a key struggle for you. And it was for me for a very, very long time. I was definitely a easy swiper, easy click online, ship now. And so I have worked on that in order to be so I'm not doing it as much, you know, and I will still have occasionally where I went ahead and clicked that buy now button when I really didn't need it and I regret it, but I find it elsewhere in my budget to cover the expense so that I'm still having a zero budget at the end of the month and I'm paying the whole credit card off. So moving on into, can you use a credit card with a cash budget or budgeting in general? And I would say yes. So a lot of people will be like, well, why don't you just use a debit card then? You know, well, for me, I do not have a bank account where I am earning interest through my checking. And I know there is a couple of banks that have kind of like a rewards program to where if you use your debit card, say 10 times a month, then they give you a 2% or something on whatever's in your checking. I do not have that type of bank, and I don't really want to open one because I'm just got used to my system. And honestly, I think I'm doing better with my system than to take the time to open one of those accounts in order to get the money there. So my rewards card is getting me 50. I wish 50%, that'd be amazing, right? But my rewards card gets me 5% on anything I shop on Amazon, and occasionally it has other bonus rewards and such on different companies that are anywhere from the 3 to 5% range. And then it kind of goes in 3, 2, and 1 based on other categories. So most of the spending I'm doing on my credit card, I'm getting more than that 2% anyway. So again, it's just not worth it to me to switch over to a bank with the rewards debit card. I believe you can use it with both a cash system or a digital system. Digital system may be a little bit easier, especially if you are somebody who can, you know, work spreadsheets and, you know, have a bank account with multiple savings accounts or buckets, as some of the banks call them, to where you can just disperse that money right into that bucket, right into that savings account, and you can see it digitally. Now, I don't have a bank again that has that, but I can open extra savings accounts, and I do that for some of the accounts that I keep in the bank. I have extra savings account for, you know, car maintenance, for emergency fund, for house repairs. I have a general savings account, which is where I send my zero out money to when I do that. And so, but other than those, and if I decide to open others, I can. It's just a click of a button, so it's super easy. But I tend to lose track of those because they're digital. Again, I am not a person that does well with digital, so I try and keep most of my stuff in cash. And you can go either way. So whatever works best for you, either do it digitally or do it with cash as well. You can still use a credit card. So it comes down to the question of, how do I use my credit card with my budget? The main thing is that you're tracking those expenses, okay? Whenever, you know, the credit card statement comes in, if you don't use the credit card very often, I'd say it's okay to track once a month and pull your funds from either your cash envelopes or your digital cash envelopes and then pay your credit card off completely. If you are spending every day on your credit card or multiple times a day, I recommend either doing, you know, tracking it once a week or bi-weekly, just to stay on top of it so you know where you are. That was one of my big things that really, really helped me, because when I did it all in 1 month, it was like, oh my gosh, what was that charge for? Like, I don't even remember buying that. So if I do it every week, it's at least fresh in my mind what I spent the money on so that I can write it on my tracker. And you can either do a digital tracker with a spreadsheet or a cash tracker, or that like in binders or on a notebook. I mean, honestly, guys, you don't have to spend a bunch of money in order to budget. We're budgeting for a reason. Another way and how to use your credit card with your budget is to either only use it for fixed expenses like bills, so you know exactly how much is going to go on that credit card every month and how much you have to budget, or you can use it for everything like I do. But the thing is, when you use it for everything, there are a few different things that you absolutely need to do to stay on top of things. One is the tracking, which we've talked about, and 2 is, I would say, maybe limit the credit cards to usually only 1 or 2. Now, I do have multiple credit cards. I don't use them all. I use some of them every once in a while, just so they're kind of inactive, or if they're store specific and I happen to buy something in that store, I may well use it once in a while. But I really just use 1 credit card, and that's just to keep things streamlined, keep it easy. I found the one that gave me the most cash back for the things that I buy. And so that's why I went with that one. And then, you know, when you have 3, 4, 5, 6 credit cards and you're using all of them all at the same time, it can get a little hectic and a little busy. And sometimes you could forget to track one of the expenses because you're already looking up the expenses on another one and you forgot you used one. And, oh, I used credit card A, B, and C this week, but I only checked the spending on A and B to put on my tracker. And now end of the month comes in your statements and you could be short on like $100 purchase that you completely forgot about. So I would say limiting it, scaling it back, just so you can focus on it and make it as easy for yourself as possible. And then of course, the biggest thing to all of this is if you want to use your credit card for budgeting purposes is to stick to your budget. And I know that sounds super simple, but it's the truth. Like, if I'm sitting here and I'm cash stuffing into, you know, my treat yourself, which is my personal spending money, or my entertainment envelope for going out, or my self-care, that sort of thing, you know, if I'm stuffing those, I need to kind of have a mental note in my head of what's in them all the time. And so if I want to go have my nails done and there's only $10 in the self-care envelope, I need to make sure that there's money elsewhere, like in my own personal sinking fund or somewhere else that I'm taking the money from before I go spend $30, $40 on having my nails done. You know, it's being on top of it and being aware of what you budgeted, how much is in the envelope, and then you have the confidence to swipe the card, because you're only swiping the card if you have the money to pay it back. At least that's the goal. That is the ultimate goal. I know things come up and I know sometimes that just doesn't happen, but that's also another reason to have an emergency fund. So yes, if you have a big emergency come up and you have to swipe the credit card for it, at least you have money in an emergency fund to pay the credit card back. And I know life doesn't always go that way, but it's what we try and we aim for. So just a recap for you guys, I answered the question of what I charge on my credit card. It is almost everything. I do like to carry cash in my wallet just so I have the option for my variable spending items that, depending on where I shop at that week, I have the option of either using a card or using cash, just depending on what they accept and what's the most convenient at the time. But again, I always have to keep track of what's in that envelope, because if I use cash one week for my groceries, but the card for the next, I have to remember that the cash that's already in my wallet was used on the card and will be taken out soon. So I don't have that extra or that looks of extra money and go over budget. And then, you know, can you use a credit card with your budgeting? Yes. Can it be used with cash budgeting? Yes. And can it be used with digital? Of course. So it can be used with all these things, but it has to be used wisely and responsibly. And so that's tracking those expenses, not going over budget, paying it off every month so that you're not, you know, accruing interest on it. That's the main thing. So guys, if you have any more questions for me, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. You guys have an amazing week, and until you see me or my hands next time, bye.